guys, welcome or welcome back to another review of the Mummy Club on Showmax. Now, we are now on episode 4. Guys, when I tell you that the show is actually proving to be quite good, I thoroughly enjoyed episode 4. And as we go through this review, you will see my reasons for enjoying episode 4. Now, before we even go ahead, I want to give a round of applause to Her Majesty, Happy Simelane, for being that girl that's actually carrying the show on her back. We will get into that as soon as we get to Happy's section. Now, we are back at Bold, the restaurant, where we left off last week. The ladies are interrogating Miss Manche about how she knows about the fact that Happy's husband passed away and there was another woman in the car. And it is discovered that Nunurai is the one that actually told Miss Manche. Now, as I said on my previous review, that for me, I did not see it as gossip at all. I saw it as a concerned friend, from one concerned friend to another, sharing their concern regarding their mutual friend. Now, it goes around the table at how Nunurai is a gossip, and it seems as if it's very gossipy, and how can she gossip? Now, when I tell you that there's something bubbling, there's something in the waters, there is something in the waters between Mrs. Mops and Miss Manche, because I found it quite alarming for Mrs. Mops to say to Miss Manche, wasn't it a bit gossipy? Was it, as if she's coming for her? I feel like Mrs. Mops is one of those people that if you piss her off, if you upset her, she'll say she's okay. She'll say that she wants to move on and she's moved on. But does she really? Or is she one to actually keep a grudge? The ladies are just discussing this whole matter and just seeing, trying to find a resolution. And they actually do in a very ladylike manner, which I was very impressed by, that it didn't go to the streets, And as they're sitting there, Ratile invites the ladies to a 4-pipe braai, a braai with a 4-pipe, okay? So if you don't have a 4-pipe, darling, these are not the ladies that you should be hanging around. These are the ladies of the 4 pipes. Give another 4-pipe, And, they, Happy jokingly says, but what if you don't have one? And Ratile says, but you do. And she says, if you don't have one, you'll catch a ride. Because, honey, this is a 4-pipe crew. So we now move on to Ratile's house, where Nunurai comes with her nanny and her son, cute Zidane. And she's basically dropping her helper and her son off to have a play date or a nanny date with Ratile's helper. She says that, she's got appointments. She's got a hectic day ahead of her. She also has to go to the gym. Now, ladies, when I tell you that Nunurai has got a body, Nunurai's body, she definitely, you can see that she works hard to maintain that figure. She is just a gorgeous chocolate heart. Nunurai drops her cute son and her nanny with Ratile's nanny, and they go ahead and they have a nanny and play date. And I must say, it was quite cute to see, the nannies talking outside of work, getting to see their personalities. And I have to tell you, initially I thought Nunurai's helper is very, you know, she's an elderly woman, and she's very reserved. No, honey, no, darling. She actually has a personality for days. She's actually quite hilarious, and she's actually quite talkative. I found that to be so cute to see. And as the ladies, the nannies are talking, it hits me at how much we take for granted the sacrifices that our helpers and our nannies make to actually work for us, and help around in the house. I mean, they talk about when is the last time you saw your children, and they saw their children last year. And you can imagine just how hectic it is as a mom to not be in close proximity with your children. And it just broke my heart listening to the last time it was that they saw their children, and it was just like, wow, it's actually such a sacrifice for them to come to South Africa, to work in South Africa, and leave their children all the way in Zimbabwe. Yeah. So I found that very endearing and very heartwarming. And they're just having girl talk. They're talking about their boyfriends. They're talking about Ratile's helper says her boyfriend, she thinks her boyfriend is using her for money, and he just wants to chop her money. And Nunurai's helper talks about how she's on a long distance relationship. Their relationship is just on the phone. And she also says to Ratile's helper that, listen, if this man is not the one, leave him and find another one. And I'm like, yes, girl. I'm like, listen, if you are not happy, you are not a tree. Move on to the next one. So I was like, yes, girl. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we swiftly move to a lunch date with Ratile and her friend Tshego. And their lunch date is at Hyde Park Corner. I forget the name of the restaurant. But yeah, it seems like very nice ambience, very nice aesthetics, type of restaurant. And in walks her friend Tshegofatso, gorgeous lady. I mean, listen, the face beats are like hectic, hey? Like the girls' faces are beat, okay? The wigs are laid. The ladies are not here to play. They are here to have lunch or drinks at Hyde Park Corner. But yeah, in any case, we soon get to sort of like feel the dynamic of their friendship. And Ratile was actually saying to her friend that she's upset because her friend had an event and she assisted a friend in the event, and then come crunch time, the actual event to take place, it seems as though the friend sidelined her. But what I pick up is that, the friend clearly was not aware that by her not giving her an official invite to come, that, it would have made her feel that way. I think she just took it for granted that, listen, because you're helping me out, obviously, you are part of the event. You will come to the event, And so Ratile is just checking her on that, and they come to a nice ladylike resolution. They seem like they value their friendship, so they quickly move on from that. And now Ratile goes and downloads her friend on the ladies that she's hanging with, And, she goes to say, like, she's hanging out lady cheapy, like, banyana ba ke di cheap, ke banyana ba serious. Ke banyana ba bona, ke banyana ba te tlhalohanyana. But the tlhalohanya ke banyana ba ba serious. There's a difference between umpokoto le cheapy. Ba ke di cheapy. And listen, Ratile, le wena o cheapy kele, and I agree, le di cheapy as a collective, honka iron ore, honka cheapy. But in any case, she's just downloading her on the girls and all of that. And Tshego, it says she likes Miss Manche, obviously because Miss Manche was on the previous season of Housewives of Johannesburg, like who doesn't know Mrs. Mop's darling, and Ratile also goes and tells her about Her Majesty, and she says, no, I like her, she's a nice girl, but hey, she seems like this one, she can even have an okapi in her handbag. And I was like, now Ratile, now girl, relax. Yes, Happy is a bit rough around the edges, but okapi in the bag, come on. She is a successful black businesswoman, which I'm sure you garner that success by walking around Lady Okapi, inside handbags and all of that. But I mean, obviously, she was trying to be funny. That joke landed flat on me, but alas, we move. So she goes ahead and invites her friend Tseho to the four-pipe braai. And I have to say, I'm also looking forward to this four-pipe braai because I'm like, I want to see what the ladies are going to be wearing. I want to see the cars that they're going to be driving. Oh, in fact, I want to be at this four-pipe braai. Where's my invite? Ratile, where's my invite? I want to be at that four-pipe braai with my one-pipe car. But anyways, Tseho is like, oh, I would definitely love to be there and meet the ladies and all of that. So yeah, it was a lovely, lovely lunch between the ladies, and it's, nice to see Ratile outside of the Mami Club, in her own friendship circle. Now, you know how I always say with my reviews, it's not in exact chronological order, because every time I'm filming, I'm like, is this how it happened? Is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or is it 1, 4, 5, 3, 2, or is it? But I always say it's not necessarily in chronological order. It's just, a summation of the episode. So whether in order or not, I think you guys will more or less get, a nice picture of what the episode was like. So we now move to Miss Manche, and her mom is there to visit her for the day, Granny. And, she says her mom doesn't like to be called Granny, but I mean, she is a Granny. She's got gorgeous grandkids, and, she's a gorgeous lady. But, she comes in looking gorgeous. Mrs. Manche's mommy, such a lovely, lovely woman. And, funny enough, I bumped into her but in any case, yeah, it's a long story, but I've bumped into her a couple of times outside of her daughter. The one time was at Vendasan, and she was with Tseho's dad at the time. I think they were still together. And then the one time I bumped into her at Tembisa at a funeral, a family member's funeral. Yeah. Anyways, just, FYI, just a segue. But in any case, she is a lovely lady, very bubbly, lovely personality, knows how to dress for days. And, she's there to visit her daughter, her little girl, and they're just having a mommy and daughter catch-up session, and you can tell that these two are super, super close. You can tell their bond is really, really strong. You can tell that she's quite supportive of her daughters, in fact, because Miss Manche has an older sister who I've also met as well. So you can tell that, this friendship is quite strong. The bond is quite strong. You can tell that, she raised her daughters really well. And so for that, well done to her. But in any case, as they're sitting there, they're catching her, they're catching up, and Tseho, obviously, it's her mom, so she can let loose and be vulnerable. And, she talks up to her mom about, sometimes being overwhelmed and having high expectations of herself, and which, I totally get, especially as a mother. You always looking at yourself and wondering, am I raising these kids well? Am I doing a good job? And if you're married and you've got a husband, you ask yourself, am I that wife to my husband? Am I being a good partner? So I absolutely understand where she's coming from in that regard. And yeah, her mom just reassures her that you are doing so well. I mean, look at your kids, they're gorgeous. You've got a beautiful family. And just keep your head high, girl, and continue, keep up with the good work. Her mom says something that I really love, because sometimes it's not that it's hard, but sometimes even though your parent feels that way about you, but they don't necessarily say it. But I loved what she said about, she loves how her daughter is pacing her life and how her daughter is doing things, her order of doing things and all of that. And I thought, wow, that is such an amazing compliment from your mom. And yeah, I just love the dynamic. It's it's a cute mummy and daughter dynamic, which I have with my own mom. We best friends, we besties. We have our moments where we butt heads, and but at the end of the day, that woman is my life. She's my everything. So I found that scene to be so cute and so endearing. As I'm going through this review, I'm like, we actually didn't see a lot of Mrs. Mops on this episode, like a lot of her in her own space and all of that. But then I guess in the previous, episodes, we're always at our house, we're always, so yeah, just a thought, we didn't really get to see that much of her. However, we do see her at a photo shoot that she's scheduled for her birthday, her upcoming birthday. She's saying she's turning 30 something, and that a lady never reveals her age or her kgs or her weight, okay? And so she scheduled this very steamy Mrs. Mops, very steamy, very, very, very steamy. I was actually like, Mrs. Mops, is this you, darling, on international TV? Remember, Showmax is, as long as you have an account, you can watch it anywhere in the world, and so I mean, Mrs. Mops is a lovely, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous lady. We cannot deny that. I mean, as she's setting up for that shoot, I mean, when she walks out and she's wearing her lingerie, and today's look is like, listen, we're chilling like Mrs. Mops, darling. But in any case, when she comes out with her brassiere, which is her bra, which is very revealing, like it's very see-through. And at some point I'm like, whoa, are those nipples, and she's wearing underwear, and she's wearing these net stockings from Gucci, so very, very see-through. I was just like, Mrs. Mops, I don't know, listen, I'm not one to judge people and how they dress. I'm like, girl, if you're comfortable, do you. But I just found it, like, I was just like, okay, we're doing this, okay. I wonder, Mr. Mopsy Oring. But I guess, they have that type of relationship where Mr. Mops is like, girl, yeah, he's probably like clapping for her on the sidelines. And I am here for it. I live for those types of relationships where, the couples, the partners are supportive of each other's passions and businesses and all of that. I'm here for it. But in any case, yeah, it was a nice segue on the episode, just to show this other side of Mrs. Mops. I mean, she looked gorgeous. I went onto her Instagram and I was like, yes, girl, yes. I will put the picture here so you can see how hot Mrs. Mops was. She was hot. Okay, so this episode was quite Her Majesty heavy. It was quite focused on Happy Simelane and her family dynamics, which I am, I am here for, because, as I said at the beginning, I was like, Happy is carrying the show on her back. I wonder if Miguel Alaba, if she's not tired of carrying the Mummy Club on her back. And I will tell you why I say that. These ladies are very surface level. This is one thing that I've picked up. Listen, they're gorgeous ladies, but they're very surface level. They're playing this reality show game that is like, okay, I'm gonna show you the glitz and the glam and the good side, and where Her Majesty is actually bringing her life onto the show. She's bringing real scenarios, real issues, I mean, there might not be issues that you're currently facing, but they definitely is someone that has lost a husband recently, that has found out that the husband was cheating after she lost their husband, you know, someone that's raising a teenager. I know I'm raising a teenager, someone that's struggling with raising their teenager, you know. So she's very, very, very relatable in that way. And I'm like, kudos to Showmax for casting Her Majesty. That was such a clever move, and I completely get it. I did not get it in the beginning, but I completely get it. Happy is super relatable. She is super relatable. And you'll see why. Happy then, is off to therapy. And, she says she's off to therapy because, it has been suggested that she might need therapy because of the tragedy and betrayal that she has faced from losing her husband. And so she goes to this therapist, lovely lady, and they get straight into it. And she immediately opens up about how not only was it traumatic to lose her husband the way that she did, but the fact that her husband was with another woman in the car. And just how upset and how angry and how betrayed she felt by that. Because, and as I said previously on another preview, that imagine not only losing your husband but losing him under those circumstances. It's quite a hard pill to swallow. And the therapist raises a point, a very, 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 very important and valid point, where she says, I can see that you're angry. It seems like you're more angry with the girl than you actually are with your husband. And she says, you need to redirect that anger straight to your husband, because he's the one that owed you the loyalty. He's the one that owed you, he's the one that said the vows to you. So take it easy on the girl and redirect that anger to the right person, and then we can start dealing with that, And I found that to be quite true and quite accurate. And so, Happy opens up about the other stuff that she discovered after her husband passed away, and she's like, I feel stupid. I feel like I was duped, because it seems like I was the fool. Because this man would literally call me and say, listen, I need 50K, and I would make it happen, without even knowing that maybe this money he's even using it on these girls that he's seeing, on these girls that he's cheating with, And I was just like, wow, this woman has really been through a lot. She really has. And for her to be standing as she is and raising these kids, these 3 kids, I take my hat off. It's not easy being a single parent and being as independent as she is, living where she lives, driving what she drives. I can't help but just have respect for that woman. Now, you can respect someone and also be critical of certain aspects when it comes to their life. Now, with Happy, I just want her to do better as a mommy. And I know that she's got it in her to do better, because after the therapist speaking to Happy and all of that, they now bring the girls in, her 2 eldest girls, where they are now having a session with the therapist. And, I quickly pick up that the dynamic between Happy and her eldest daughter and Happy and the middle daughter is completely different, and not in a good way, because I've got 3 kids and I know that our dynamics are different. And, I hope and I pray that it's in a good way. And, by seeing Happy being so vulnerable and opening her life up, as a single mother, I am watching and I'm taking notes. Because it's not easy. So Happy's daughter, her eldest one, goes on and says how she was never really close with Happy's ex. That's a red flag. she says how it would just be a hello and that's that. It wouldn't even be a how are you. And in a way, it seemed as if Happy's ex stood between her and her mom. Like he was an obstacle between her and her mom. And, she goes on to say that she does miss him and, she did love him. But this little girl also has been through quite a lot with her mom. And it's clear to see, and she goes and she says, her mom, and Happy, I need you to do better, and I hope you are, and I feel like you are, because when you see yourself in that way and when you hear your child being so brokenhearted, you have to do better as a parent. Because her eldest daughter goes and says her mom, when they're having a tiff or whatever, she can say, I didn't even want you and I wish that I had aborted you, and that really broke me. It really touched me. And I'm like, as mommies, we need to do better, and we need to see the damage that we're doing to these kids. Because imagine this little girl going through her life feeling like she's unwanted from the only parent that she has known her whole entire life, because she hasn't even met her biological father, which we'll get into. But you can only imagine the heartache that this little girl has gone through, the heartbreak that she has gone through. And Happy, for that, I really, really hope that you do better. And I just found myself side-eyeing you and saying, Happy, Mogele, you can't speak to your child like that, And she also goes and says she compares her middle daughter and her. She has a thing where she compares, where she says the other one is neater than this one and all of that. But I think, in that session, she has seen her mistakes. And I think that, she's a smart woman, and I think that she will work through it. She will work through it with her daughters, within herself, and all of that. And, still with Happy, it's another day. Her and her eldest daughter, they're trying to mend things and be good. And they're going for a walk in her estate with her beautiful, cute puppy and her little cute little one in the pram. And as they're walking, they're catching up. And this is where you see another side as well, where Happy says that her daughter has never met her father, and she goes and she explains. And this is another red flag, Happy. It's another one where a lot of women do this. A lot. I personally know and was very close with a woman that does this or has done it or is even currently doing it, where women sacrifice their kids for their current partners. They sacrifice their kids for their current relationships. They feel like their children are some sort of obstacle in their relationship or in their marriage. That is a huge red flag. Happy's daughter, as old as she is, has never met her father. And when Happy is in her confessional, she goes and says, because she did not want to be disturbed in her marriage. Yes, I will say it again, because she did not want to be disturbed in her marriage. Because when she's married, and she wants to focus on her marriage and nothing else. And here's the thing, guys, this is why blended families are important, especially in our community, in our society right now, because the reality of things, the reality of our situation is that we are raising these children as single parents. There are more blended families. That dynamic of blended families is more common than the normal nuclear family that we know of. Because the reality is that relationships are not lasting, marriages are not lasting, and you go on and you meet another partner, and this thing of women choosing their partners over their children, it has to come to an end. It really does, because it causes more damage to our little ones than it actually does any good. But in any case, I digress. They speak about how her visa is now finally, they're having a problem with her visa. It's, they couldn't approve it because her daughter's passport is expiring. And now all of this is said because her father's actually based in Nigeria, and she has to go there and meet her father's side of the family and finally meet her father. And you can see the sparkle in her eyes when she talks about people that she's never even met, because this little girl is yearning for love. She's yearning for approval. And Happy, I hope you saw that as you are watching this episode. And now, to close off, we see Happy going to the grave side, which I thought, once again, this woman is really being vulnerable about her life. She really is. And for that, listen, green flag, Happy. For that, I will give you a green flag. For all those other two, definitely a red flag, but I know that you're going to work on it. I've got all the faith in you. But in any case, it's a scene of her in the graveside, by the graveyard, by her husband's graveyard. And she's talking about how she's now taken her ring off and how the husband must release her and let her go, and how she has forgiven him. She wants to move on. And Happy, I really hope you move on. I think, we cannot measure anyone's time to mourn. Some people might feel like a year's too soon. Some people might feel like a year's too long. I've never been in this type of situation, so I cannot tell you how to mourn your husband, your late husband. But I feel like you are on the right step, because you are trying to fix things and you're trying to make things right. And for that, Happy, I take my hat off to you. Now, with that said, we have come to the end of this week's review. Guys, when I say that, really, the show is gaining momentum, and it's really starting to become nice, because we're also getting used to the ladies, and we're getting used to their personalities. And yeah, let's see what next week has in store for us. It seems like it's going to be another exciting one, because ding ding ding, we're going to be talking about Thabo Besteri. Huh? I can't wait for next week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you've made it this far, why haven't you subscribed yet? You clearly enjoy my reviews, so you might as well go on and subscribe, so that I can give you more amazing reviews. Thank you so much for watching, and see you on the next one. Bye.